Good afternoon, Crafty Clan. Welcome to another edition of Etsy News. And have I got a good show for you today? We're going to talk about a nice thing Etsy did and also how they're potentially helping the vintage sellers, the Superbowl ad, and a brand new Etsy high seller that's the shop that's just opened this year. And I think I know why they're getting a massive amount of sales. So let's dig into it. So this one, the first one I mentioned, a high selling shop. So this shop has just opened in 2024. It's the fifth top selling shop in 2024. It is 15 days old and has 359 sales, and only 8 listings, by the way. For everyone who thinks you need to have millions of listings, definitely you do not need to have millions of listings. This one, interesting, it's in the paper and party supplies category under party games mainly, and not entirely sure. I think this is quite a good shop. This is why I picked this out. So selling 300 odd things for about $10 per item, so they're doing okay to have just got started. But I thought this isn't a full dive into why this Etsy shop's making sales, why this top seller's making sales, but I saw in their thumbnails a little yellow star, and I went to zoom in a bit closer, and it's as seen on TikTok. So does this shop have a TikTok? Is this where the sales are coming from? Oh, you betcha. Kelly A. Burke, it's definitely them because they've got the link back to their Etsy store. And they're saying they're selling Super Bowl bingo cards. Now, this is a very niche. I'm not sure if they're going to move on from that or if they do other things once the Super Bowl's gone. But wow. They've hit a trend and they've hit it running. If you look at some of these latest videos they've put up, 4.5 million, 24.9 million plays, 12.3 million, 102,000. Yep, they're getting some views on their TikToks. And this is really genius what they've got here. Super Bowl bingo cards. What this is for is the partners of people who really love the Super Bowl. You've got bingo cards for them to fill in with all the common things. Check their phone, throws drink down in anger, all these kind of things, and you can mark them off. So this is amusing, a good gift for people, a funny thing that people will maybe buy themselves, but it also makes really good TikToks because she's showing herself having fun, like laughing at her boyfriend while he's getting all worked up over the show. She's ticking off the issues. So I think this is genius. I am interested to see what they're going to do after the Super Bowl, which is very, very soon, but genius. I really love this. Very, very clever, getting tons of sales. I'm happy to see a fun shop and to know where their sales have come from. There is no doubt people are coming over from TikTok. Yeah, that TikTok's where it's at for a lot of marketing things. She's done great. Well done. Okay, so some announcements from Etsy. The first of all was Etsy has Drew Barrymore as the company's first ever chief gifting officer. And Drew Barrymore says she loves Etsy and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what to say about this. I mean, yes, maybe Drew Barrymore curates a small amount of gifts or something, small amount of groups of things to show here's Drew Barrymore's choices, but really I can't see this being anything other than a figurehead. And much as I've loved Drew Barrymore most of my life, this does make me worry as to what is Etsy trying to tap into. I'm not really sure that Drew Barrymore's up there as an A-list just now, but correct me if I'm not wrong. I am not down with the kids, but yeah, anyway, whatever. She's probably some kind of figurehead, she's not doing all of the work, but hopefully she's doing some. Hopefully she is involved in all of this to some extent, and hopefully it works. But let me know in the comments if you're excited by this. I'm just like, it is it really going to be good? Is it? I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that. Oh, it just sounds like I'm being so negative again with my next slide along here with the Etsy advert. Etsy, I've seen 2 adverts this week. We're going to go into the Super Bowl one later, but earlier in the week, the first Etsy advert I saw came up, which is the Don't End Up in a People Cake one, where 2 women are talking about if they'd used Etsy gift mode, then they would have been able to, that would have been a better present for their friend than what it turns out that they're in a cake. I'll talk more about this when we get to the Super Bowl one, because I think they're a little connected, but you can probably tell by my voice I'm not overly impressed by this. Let me know if you thought this was funny. I'll ask you just now and then we'll cover it at the end. What market do you think this is targeting? Yeah, okay, we'll come back to that in it. Anyway, here's the thing. Hopefully it's good for vintage, because a lot of people are contacting me, but with the vintage mode, with the gift mode, they're saying vintage stuff isn't showing up there, and it probably isn't. I haven't checked, but a lot of things that Etsy feature, I don't think it's a case that they're not featuring vintage. It's a case that they're probably not featuring one-of-a-kind things, because if you're curating a list that's going to be on the homepage, potentially those kind of things are going to sell really quickly. And if you have something that's more than one of a kind and it can sell and relist, then you don't have to pick so many things. If everything was one of a kind, you would need to pick thousands of them. I've only been on the front page like many years ago, but the sales were terrifying from being on the front page. So it is sell and relist, sell and relist, sell and relist. So I think that might be why vintage people aren't getting seen, and it sucks. It's laziness, Etsy. You could give people more of a chance. But anyway, when someone let me know this, that when you search for something with the word vintage in front of it, rather than taking you to the search, I searched here for vintage hat, rather than taking me to the search for vintage hat, Etsy took me to the search for hat with vintage selected as a filter. And I think potentially this could be good. This really should, because we know search isn't great, and if you're doing a niche thing, when you type in something like vintage hat, if they don't have enough hats to show you, they clearly do have plenty here, but if they don't have enough of that thing to show you, they'll look at things that they think might be relevant, but they might not have the words vintage in their title and tags and categories and everything. But they might say, well, this is a hat as well. You might like this. But if they filter by vintage, hopefully that's only the items that are actually physically listed as vintage. So this might help vintage people a bit more. Let me know what you think. I don't sell vintage. I think it's a really cool category actually, but yes, I don't sell it, but hopefully this is something that makes people happier. Now here I'm not going to be mean on Etsy. Here is a good thing. Share and save update. Until the 15th of February, Etsy is charging us 0 transaction fees on our share and save orders. Now, that is our roughly 6.5% fees. I'm not sure what countries this is for. I always forget to mention this. I know it's in the UK, US. It might just be English-speaking countries. Hopefully it's everybody. I know the gifting mode is not rolled out to everybody, but check out with this thing. This is a big deal, but don't get confused by it. People are saying 0 fees. It's 0 transaction fees. Bear in mind, you also have payment processing fees. And this is the money to process the payment. No matter where you're selling, you will likely have payment processing fees. If you sell on a site and PayPal processes the fees, you have to pay money to PayPal. So it's your 6.5%, but it's still pretty cool. And I just want to say here, because I'm getting a lot of people saying, and I hear it all the time, people saying, I'm not using Share and Save because it tanked my conversion. If you send a link to your followers and your followers click on that and don't buy, it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt you at all. The conversion, your total shop conversion, all the views compared to the number of sales you get is not important at all. Etsy cares about the conversion when people see your listings in search. How likely are they to convert for that search term? So your overall shop conversion, if you bring 10,000 people to your shop and only 100 of them buy, your conversion might be in the floor. But Etsy doesn't care. You've brought a load of people and your shop has made 100 sales. So your shop quality score marketplace experience score will go up based on getting sales, getting reviews, happy customers, all of that. So it's a good thing. Etsy is not going to penalize you for bringing in new people that Etsy didn't have to pay for. So don't be afraid to share. And other people, I'll do this as well. Other people say, well, if you're driving your own traffic, if you're posting to your social media and you're driving your own traffic, why don't you just drive it to your own website? Now, having your own website is a good thing if you have the time and understanding for that. But it makes more sense when you're starting out. On Etsy, the more sales you get, that builds a bit of momentum. It builds that customer marketplace experience score, which helps all your rankings, all your listings rank a little higher in search. So that's a good thing to build momentum. And then when you start ranking in search, you start showing up in front of these customers that aren't your social media followers. It's a good way to meet new customers to get different sales. So you're tapping into that audience on Etsy. If you have your own website, that traffic that you've driven and those sales that you've driven is not enough to move the needle in Google search. Because I think, as Starla said on Thursday in the eRank Live, if you're selling jewelry or something and you sell 100 of something, you are up in Google against things like Tiffany. They sneeze and they sell 100 things. So, it doesn't move the needle. Now, it's not a bad thing to get people to know about your website. So potentially that could be something where you've made the sale on Etsy, you pop a card in, you pop a flyer in that mentions your website, you pop a pen or a sticker that is branded to your website. So when people want to buy again, they have it there and then. The other thing with just working to send everything to a standalone website is safety. How many of us have bought from a website they've seen on Facebook or something, and it turns out to be an absolute scam? You're not getting what you paid for, and there's no recourse. There's no one you can go to. Whereas on Etsy, it's a little safer for the customer, so they feel a little more secure to send people there. So if you're trying to build up your Etsy shop, it is going to be much easier. Build up your social media, build up your Etsy shop together. Just have your website bubbling in the background and, let people know about it. But it's much easier to send everyone over to your website once you have a big following and you're making a good number of sales. If you're building up, absolutely send them to Etsy. And Etsy deals with, the payment processing, all the taxes and laws in different countries. They're not perfect, but they're better than a lot of their other options. Anyway, it's a kind of good thing. All right, here is the Super Bowl ad. Etsy released it and let us see it. It is basically a supposedly funny historic thing where the French are coming over to America and they want to know what to get for French people. The Etsy they decide to use the Etsy gift mode. It suggests cheese because, of course, French people want given cheese. And then at the end of it, you can see all these French people that are so delighted for some reason right at the front with whoever this mayor of France or something has some kind of bizarre shocked looking peasant and a mime, because all French people are cheese eating mimes, which is better than cheese eating surrender monkeys, which is probably on. There is a reason French people aren't monkeys. This sounds worse than it is. Look up the history of it. There was a point in time where some people in England thought French people were monkeys. It's very strange, but I feel this is stereotypes. Okay, anyway, and I said we'd talk about who the target market and everything is, because Brian over on eRank, we were talking about this, and Debbie, I was being kind and saying the humor for this was in the 2000s because I could see it being laughed at 20 years ago, but Debbie was quite correct, and the humor for this is in the 70s. But Brian did mention that possibly the target demographic for this is middle-aged men, which, yes, they're probably watching the Super Bowl and they're probably not as represented on Etsy. There's not so many of them on Etsy, so it's not a bad crowd to be reaching. So if you have any items that would appeal to middle-aged men, that appears to be what Etsy's advertising to. But I can't lie. I don't. I'm going to say it. I don't like these adverts. If the pinnacle of humor that their team can come up with is girls in a cake and racial stereotypes of other nations, yeah, that's not the best. Although, yes, they are saying there's Etsy's to do with French people as well. It is a bit international, but yeah, let me know what you think. I do not like, not one little bit. When the mime came up, I was just like, oh, for goodness sake, Etsy. Anyway, so that's it for this week. Very good news with the share and save. Really cool seeing a shop that's doing so well off of being funny on TikTok. Liked that a lot. Some slightly more negative things, but let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.